HB Next is the pioneer of compliance as a service, consolidating how industrial companies manage risk and compliance within their organizations, protecting more than 1 million lives, servicing over 5,000 clients, and bringing over 500 years of safety and business continuity domain expertise for our clients. Built as a comprehensive solution, Sequence XT combines people, technology, and processes to create a robust firewall of protection for owners and stakeholders in an easy-to-use platform. Sequence XT and HB Next is your trusted partner in compliance, risk management, safety, and business continuity. HB Next. HB Next is the pioneer of compliance as a service, consolidating how industrial companies manage risk and compliance within their organizations, protecting more than 1 million lives, servicing over 5,000 clients, and bringing over 500 years of safety and business continuity domain expertise for our clients. Built as a comprehensive solution, Sequence XT combines people, technology, and processes to create a robust firewall of protection for owners and stakeholders in an easy-to-use platform. Sequence XT and HB Next is your trusted partner in compliance, risk management, safety, and business continuity. HB Next. HB Next is the pioneer of compliance as a service, consolidating how industrial companies manage risk and compliance within their organizations, protecting more than 1 million lives, servicing over 5,000 clients, and bringing over 500 years of safety and business continuity domain expertise for our clients. Built as a comprehensive solution, Sequence XT combines people, technology, and processes to create a robust firewall of protection for owners and stakeholders in an easy-to-use platform. Sequence XT and HB Next is your trusted partner in compliance, risk management, safety, and business continuity. HB Next. HB Next is the pioneer of compliance as a service, consolidating how industrial companies manage risk and compliance within their organizations, protecting more than 1 million lives, servicing over 5,000 clients, and bringing over 500 years of safety and business continuity domain expertise for our clients. Built as a comprehensive solution, Sequence XT combines people, technology, and processes to create a robust firewall of protection for owners and stakeholders in an easy-to-use platform. Sequence XT and HB Next is your trusted partner in compliance, risk management, safety, and business continuity. HB Next. HB Next is the pioneer of compliance as a service, consolidating how industrial companies manage risk and compliance within their organizations, protecting more than 1 million lives, servicing over 5,000 clients, and bringing over 500 years of safety and business continuity domain expertise for our clients. Built as a comprehensive solution, Sequence XT combines people, technology, and processes to create a robust firewall of protection for owners and stakeholders in an easy-to-use platform. Sequence XT and HB Next is your trusted partner in compliance, risk management, safety, and business continuity. HB Next. HB Next is the pioneer of compliance as a service, consolidating how industrial companies manage risk and compliance within their organizations, protecting more than 1 million lives, servicing over 5,000 clients, and bringing over 500 years of safety and business continuity domain expertise for our clients. Built as a comprehensive solution, Sequence XT combines people, technology, and processes to create a robust firewall of protection for owners and stakeholders in an easy-to-use platform. Sequence XT and HB Next is your trusted partner in compliance, risk management, safety, and business continuity. HB Next. HB Next is the pioneer of compliance as a service, consolidating how industrial companies manage risk and compliance within their organizations, protecting more than 1 million lives, servicing over 5,000 clients, and bringing over 500 years of safety and business continuity domain expertise for our clients. Built as a comprehensive solution, Sequence XT combines people, technology, and processes to create a robust firewall of protection for owners and stakeholders in an easy-to-use platform. Sequence XT and HB Next is your trusted partner in compliance, risk management, safety, and business continuity. HB Next. HB Next is the pioneer of compliance as a service, consolidating how industrial companies manage risk and compliance within their organizations, protecting more than 1 million lives, servicing over 5,000 clients, and bringing over 500 years of safety and business continuity domain expertise for our clients. Built as a comprehensive solution, Sequence XT combines people, technology, and processes to create a robust firewall of protection for owners and stakeholders in an easy-to-use platform. Sequence XT and HB Next is your trusted partner in compliance, risk management, safety, and business continuity. HB Next. HB Next is the pioneer of compliance as a service, consolidating how industrial companies manage risk and compliance within their organizations, protecting more than 1 million lives, servicing over 5,000 clients, and bringing over 500 years of safety and business continuity domain expertise for our clients. Built as a comprehensive solution, Sequence XT combines people, technology, and processes to create a robust firewall of protection for owners and stakeholders in an easy-to-use platform. Sequence XT and HB Next is your trusted partner in compliance, risk management, safety, and business continuity. HB Next. HB Next is the pioneer of compliance as a service, consolidating how industrial companies manage risk and compliance within their organizations, protecting more than 1 million lives, servicing over 5,000 clients, and bringing over 500 years of safety and business continuity domain expertise for our clients. Built as a comprehensive solution, Sequence XT combines people, technology, and processes to create a robust firewall of protection for owners and stakeholders in an easy-to-use platform. Sequence XT and HB Next is your trusted partner in compliance, risk management, safety, and business continuity. HB Next. HB Next is the pioneer of compliance as a service, consolidating how industrial companies manage risk and compliance within their organizations, protecting more than 1 million lives, servicing over 5,000 clients, and bringing over 500 years of safety and business continuity domain expertise for our clients. Built as a comprehensive solution, Sequence XT combines people, technology, and processes to create a robust firewall of protection for owners and stakeholders in an easy-to-use platform. Sequence XT and HB Next is your trusted partner in compliance, risk management, safety, and business continuity. HB Next.
Hello, drivers of getting things done safely and keeping your organization running smoothly. Welcome to the Drive podcast, where we navigate topics that matter to you and the lives of professional transportation, DOT, and fleet. Together, let's navigate the roads that keep you safe, compliant, and your businesses growing for the future. We're excited to share our fourth episode, Driving Success, the Power of Telematics Data in Decision-Making and Coaching, featuring our special guest, Eric Frey of PowerFleet. As PowerFleet's Director of Global Product Management, Eric is responsible for managing the product strategy associated with data ingestion and overall sales enablement in connected vehicle space. His experience of data and vehicle space makes him perfect to speak of the power of telematics data. And as always, there's an interactive session at the end for your questions and answers, and you always are welcome to put those in the chat, okay? And to go ahead and turn this over to our host, kcolton.
All right. Thanks, Garrett, as always. And welcome, big warm welcome, Eric Frey from PowerFleets. This is kind of the second part with PowerFleets and talking about telematics and camera. Last month's episode, we spoke about the 5 steps of telematics and camera systems for your fleet. This, in a sense, was sort of an outline of how your company should look and think about implementing a new system. It's especially with something this large. We talked about, do you need a system and why does your company need it? Choosing the right system and updating company policy. That's huge on making sure your policy reflects any new change you have within your company. Then the installation and integration to the company and drivers, keeping everybody informed of why we're doing it, how we're doing it, and how that looks like. Then the first 30 days of actually starting out on the right foot. It's a new system. Typically in the industry, drivers don't necessarily having cameras in the trucks or that sort of data, but it's informing them the right way. And then the last part we talked about was maintaining and using your system each and every day. I spoke about if you have a system and you don't monitor it, that's almost can cause more damage to your company than what it is. So, all right, let's get into this episode and the power of telematics. I've asked Eric to join us today to help educate us on in-depth understanding of telematics and cameras that companies can use. So let's get into this. So what are we going to talk about today? We have three main topics. Those three main topics, the first part is what's the difference between telematics and cameras within our work vehicles and equipment or our overall operation? The second part, we're going to talk about different types of systems that a company can use and how they can help benefit a company in their operations. And then the last part, benefits of telematics actually for our overall operations, tracking equipment on location, fuel consumption, idleization, real-time mapping and stuff, something that can help your overall operations in a sense. I didn't really understand, I thought I did, but I didn't understand the entire telematics and camera systems until I started working with PowerFleet's Mix and Aaron Michaels from last month and talking with Eric Frey this month. And they explained how much more that there is to these systems and that a company can actually benefit from that. So that's why he's our guest star today and has all the knowledge. And I'm going to kind of sit back and ask some questions and keep us on track. And he's going to give us the answers from his perspective. All right. So let's get into this. Here's our first topic that I talked about, the difference of telematics and cameras in our work vehicles. So here, Eric, this is kind of a series of questions for you, since you're the expert in the field that I would really feel that helps educate me and our listeners. So the first one is, how have you guys seen the growth of telematics and cameras change in the last 5 years in the industry?
Yeah, so first of all, thanks so much for having me here today. It's a pleasure.
Absolutely.
So let's jump right in here. So I'd say without a doubt, we've seen that adoption of cameras in the telematics industry significantly increase over the last 5 years. I think
Right.
most research has said that it's at least tripled since 2020, so coming out of COVID. And there's probably just a few factors here that I want to highlight as to why that would be. So first and foremost, privacy. I think privacy has always been a concern, but we're starting to see it and get past that, right? So we're starting to see that it's no longer that much of a concern. Our customers are starting to see that the benefits far outweigh the issues surrounding privacy. And it's not just for the company, it's also for the driver, right?
Right.
A key example, exoneration. So it's protecting that driver as well, and they're starting to see that.
Huge. All right.
Second,
Great.
Second, I want to highlight the technology here. Technology just keeps on getting better, right? So you're going to start to see that as the technology gets better, it's becoming more affordable. It's getting better at and really more accurate. No more false positives here. So there's just more confidence in this technology. And then last, the safety aspect of it is significant, right? You're starting to want to see more of this culture of safety that's being introduced, not just in the workplace, but on the road as well.
Right. Great. Yeah, I've seen the technology really change over the years. So here's another question. So do companies use more telematics or is it the cameras? What do you think is that and why? The difference between the telematics and the cameras. What's the big point there?
So that's a great question, and I think it's important to kind of highlight the two differences. In some cases, you're going to see that yes, traditional telematics is still more heavily used. It's more affordable still, but we're starting to see this uptick in an interest to have both. There's a few factors, including the budget, and there's also this risk of privacy that's starting to get behind us. So
Right.
it's going to depend at the end of the day what our customers are trying to solve for. Are they just trying to have a tracking solution to know where their assets are, to be able to know what their ETA is for delivery? Or do they want to have more in-depth look at that vehicle's health and get some really useful information from the vehicle's computer essentially? And then finally, are they more focused on their drivers and making sure that they can keep an eye on how they're driving? Are they maintaining that safety and compliance that company is so invested in at that point? So those are really
So
the areas that's going to drive that.
right. And there's so much to this, and that's why I invited you here today for your expertise. So, how is your overall cost of these systems? It is the cost I've seen on my end working with companies and everything that appears over the last several years, the overall cost, it seems like it's kind of coming down. How do you see that in your company?
I definitely would agree with you there. They are coming down, and it's really the technological advancements that's helped driving that, right? So cheaper hardware, optimized chipsets. If the chips are using less power, they have more capabilities, it's going to lower those costs. Also, the software itself that's powering these solutions, the cloud compute, is also getting cheaper. And then you've got the factor of the cellular data costs. All of that's coming down over time. That's a trend that's going to continue for the next few years as well. And then one of the other factors here, I think, is there's more players in the space, right? So that's going to further just drive the cost down. It's a competitive nature. So we have these competitive driven prices. And really, there's enough options out there that are going to be able to satisfy almost any budget at this point in time.
Right, I get that. So, wow, I get that. So, can you advise what would be the average cost of a system and kind of how long does a company have to sign a contract for? Kind of like a cell phone type contract in a sense.
Right. So, like most technology packages, it depends, right? It's going to depend on how much data you're looking for, the number of cameras that are in use, right? What are the capabilities of the software? All of these things are going to drive value and bring value to the customer, right? So you're going to be paying for that value. And I think it's really important to just highlight that, it's good to have a lot of options. So, for example, one of the solutions that we offer includes a dual camera solution. It's powered by AI. It's going to have a road facing, it's going to have a driver facing. It's going to take care of all these interesting events for the road facing, like tailgating and forward collision warnings. It's going to make sure that driver is wearing their seatbelt, not generally distracted, and keeping their eyes on the road. And you have to be able to really quantify the value here. It's obviously really powerful.
I
So
got it.
with that said, right, a solution like that, it's going to include hardware. It's going to have an installation cost, right, that will need to be accounted for. And then you're
Right.
looking at monthly payments to access the software to get access to all that valuable information. Typical for us, that's in that $35 range. The standard telematics solution, right? That's going to be able to give you the tracking, the geofencing, knowing about the idling time, knowing about odometer and fuel level, all of those good things. That's still going to run you between 10 to 15, but obviously will depend on if you're looking for ELD. So all those factors will come into play and can move that range a little bit. Um, to speak to the contracts, they're multi-year, right? They're multi-year for a reason because
Right.
there is that initial investment. But that does include all the software access, training, support, cellular data, and then that continuous upgrade cycle. So you're getting improvements over time as well.
Gotcha. And I guess that makes sense when you stop and really think about it. And while you were speaking, I was kind of thinking of the next question I was going to ask you, and that is and you kind of answered it, you know, why, and I ask this every couple of years when I get a new cell phone, why does a company have to sign a multi-year contract when it seems that technology is constantly changing every 6 months. Kind of, I'm using the example, I keep going back to cell phone. It's kind of like a cell phone. I buy a cell phone, it's the newest, it's the latest, it does all this stuff. And in 6 months, I hear advertisements that my stuff is outdated or there's something new and better. Is that kind of what you're referring to on that?
Yeah, I think it's not an apples to apples comparison, I'd say, right? Because you're buying a cell
Right.
phone because it's easy, you're going into a store, it's a lot of bells and whistles. But for something like this, really, you're making that initial investment, you're having to then have it professionally installed, you're having to take that vehicle out of service for a short period of time to do so. And that's not something you want to have as an exercise every 6 months, right? And you want to start to realize the return on your investment.
Gotcha, gotcha. So, yeah, I guess there's a lot more. There's really not that many changes that come with the software and the overall camera that it's not going to be outdated in 6 months, right?
Absolutely, right? It's really easy to roll out upgrades over the air. So that could be software upgrades to the package that you're using, you log into and you're looking at reports and dashboards and you're getting the value there. And it's also really easy to upgrade the devices over the air. So really we can train a new model for an AI camera and we can go ahead and push that wirelessly. There's no need to touch the hardware at that point. And that way your vehicles are still operational and everyone's happy.
Right. Okay. Well, I guess that's a big thing that you kind of answered that for me is that software and upgrades are kind of pushed through the system. So it's not like my system isn't getting an update for the next 1 to 2 years, right?
And whistles you'd expect without the need to physically touch the vehicle.
Gotcha. Well, great explanation on that. All right, sounds good. Let's kind of move on. In this second topic, I kind of want to talk about and address a few things. So, you know, there's different types of systems that a company can use, and really, how can these systems help a company in their overall operations? I guess the basic is, I think of camera and speed monitoring and seeing if he's using his cell phone. So, Eric, you've kind of provided the foundational differences between telematics and cameras, the trends, the cost in the industry. Now, let me ask you some questions of a different type of systems that a company can actually use and how they can help your company in operation. And let's kind of touch base a little bit outside of the basics that everybody's really accustomed to, and that's a camera system forward, rear facing that could be in our company vehicles, monitoring our driver habits and the telematic. So, the first question I kind of have for you is, can you explain to our listeners what the different types of systems that are out there that a company can use? Kind of like systems for truck and vehicle front and rear side facing cameras, tracking. What are the different things that a company can get?
Yeah, absolutely. So your traditional onboard computer is used to provide the useful driver identification. So you're able to then identify who's driving the vehicle, and maybe that will be used for hours of service and ELD as well. We can also get driver behavior out of that type of device, looking for harsh acceleration and braking and things of that nature. Right.
Right.
So all that's going to be very useful to know who is using the equipment and how are they performing their job. Then you can go ahead and track that vehicle, right? You can look at things that come from the onboard computer of that vehicle, the fuel, the odometer, the fault codes. There's a lot of really valuable information that can help drive additional efficiencies. If you're looking about, how do I reduce my fuel waste? How do I
Right.
optimize that? All of that is being driven by that type of solution. Then I've already explained that dual facing camera solution, and that can be paired with it, right? So now you're getting the benefits of the vehicle tracking solution, the driver behavior analysis, right, and the authorization, as well as getting that really in-depth knowledge of how are they really behaving behind the wheel, right, and how are they reacting to things such as tailgating scenarios. Are they making adjustments? All of that becomes really, really visible and quite useful there.
Great. And I think a big part of that, especially if you live around a big metro city, such as myself in Atlanta, the roadways are crazy. We have tons of drivers. I not only want to look at what my drivers are doing and they're driving safe, I set the tone, the culture, but it's also protecting us against being falsely accused, or if it comes down to litigation, that, hey, that driver cut me over and there was nothing I could do, exonerating my driver if need be. Great. So,
Exactly. And just to add on to that real quick, the ability to add additional cameras, because we talked about a dual facing, of course you can add multiple cameras to a solution like this. So you can get that side view on both sides of that vehicle if it's a trailer. You can also get a rear mounted. So now you're getting that 360-degree view. So it really can fully provide the story and the need when you have that need for exoneration right there.
yeah, and I've really seen in my opinion, a little bit of advancement on side-facing cameras now. It's more than just front and rear-facing cameras, but now we're adding side cameras is an option that a company can get.
Absolutely. And you'll be able to live stream out of those. You'll be able to get all the same information. So when there's an event captured, now you're getting that video automatically generated from multiple angles that can then be presented to you on a screen. So you get that full picture. It's a really, really critical piece of information, especially in the event where you have to submit that footage to an insurance company for a claim.
Right. Great. That is big, and I really hope, trucks are so big they have blind spots and cars get in them and it's hard to see. So, okay, let me ask you this about your basic equipment that we put a system in, telematics camera system in. How can we use that? Because if anybody involved in commercial trucking knows that commercial theft of products, vehicles is huge. So, does your system can we track, let's say if my trailer is stolen out of the yard or something, we had your system in there. Is there ways to see where our truck and trailer are?
Absolutely. I mean, there's a slew of options when it comes to something like that, just basic tracking, letting us know exactly where it is hour by hour. And then you have some more intelligence built into these devices nowadays. Maybe they have the ability to use an accelerometer to know when they've been moved and report. Pairing that with a geofence can let you know when there's an entry or exit event. So if you're tracking activity on a yard and you don't expect anything to leave the yard, you'd be notified the moment it does. If you want to look at some other camera solutions for that type of the trailer tracking, we've actually
Right.
had some customers come to us and say we are suspecting theft for cargo being unloaded. We'd really like to have a camera system there as well, and we were able to do that for them too. So having that rear camera out the back of the cab, just facing where that cargo is being unloaded, can provide a nice live streaming or just additional
Right.
information in the event you're worried about theft.
Gotcha. Wow, that really sounds in a sense that it would pay for itself just preventing or being able to know what happens to your equipment if something like that happened. So let me ask you this. We're covering the basics on my trucks and trailers, my fleet vehicles, but what about construction equipment and overall safety? How does telematics or I don't know, cameras, or how can I integrate that into my off-road equipment, so to say?
Right. So if we're purely talking off road, right? Because we know there's going to be vehicles that are entering construction sites that are on road and off road, and many of the same solutions we mentioned can be used there. For the off road vehicles, we tend to focus a little bit more on the safety and the operational, awareness of the
Okay.
drivers. So we want to
Right.
make sure that the drivers are doing pre-check inspections or pre-drive inspections there, having the ability to check that equipment and make sure that there is nothing faulty with it before operation.
Got
Um,
it.
we're getting things automatic like engine hours, trouble codes, all those nice things so that we can continue to make sure it's safe to operate. But really, the pre-inspection check is the most critical aspect there because you need to make sure that there's no safety events that are going to occur while it's being used, and you want to avoid the costly maintenance that could have been avoided.
Gotcha. Wow, great. Hey, now I did have a company that is using your products and it's a big warehouse, tons of forklifts and everything. And we were informed that we can put some of your technology on the forklifts for safety of the workers and to prevent unauthorized use of a forklift. How does that work?
That's a really great question. So the when we get into the in-warehouse space, it really is a more challenging environment, I think is the biggest difference, right? You're needing to make sure that in this confined space, you're not causing any type of incidents, and it's a lot more likely that you will because of that scenario. So first and foremost, OSHA compliance is one of the biggest
Huge.
critical, right? We've got to be able to make sure those vehicles are compliant before they're driven. So we have these electronic checklists that we utilize, and that driver is able to access that checklist the moment they get on the equipment. It can actually walk them through all of the different compliant questions,
Right.
and at the moment that they answer something that indicates the vehicle's not safe to drive, we can shut it down. And that's going to require a supervisor to come out, and once they've deemed that it's safe to drive again, they can put it back in service very easily. But that's all automated. There's no paper or anything of that nature. Um, one of the other nice things about it is that it's using a driver authentication scheme as well, so you can make sure that your drivers actually have the right training and can actually use that equipment. Right? They've been trained and certified to do so.
Right. Got it. So since a driver's authorized to use it, he's got the right training, he meets OSHA compliance and everything, he punches in his little code, and that's the only way the forklift's going to start, correct?
Absolutely right. And just to add the camera, we'll throw one more camera, AI camera in that as well. We've got a camera that we can mount on that forklift just to be able to look for pedestrians, right? So now you're getting a little bit more information, right? So as you're operating
Right.
it, you can identify when someone's in the path, and that can create some type of alert or even shut down the equipment as well if that pedestrian is close enough.
Got it. Wow, that's great. How technology has improved over the years. So, all right, sounds good. Great information again, Eric. So, let me kind of move on to our third topic. Our third topic I really want to talk with you about is the benefits of, let's say, the overall telematics for operations. We're touching base a little bit on tracking equipment, location, and fuel consumption, but now I really want to talk about how can we move to help with our overall operations, looking at my equipment in real time or positioning at the end of the day, fuel consumption, things like that. You ready to tackle this? I keep asking you all these things and you're popping off these great answers for me right away. You ready?
Absolutely. Let's
All
do
right.
it.
Sounds good. So here's the first thing. So can you explain how all of these systems that we've been talking about so far, how can all of these things help my company or help a company run more efficiently?
So I like to think that there's probably the big three in my mind. There's certainly more, but the three I like to call out are eliminating safety incidents, ensuring that
Right.
all the assets are properly maintained and available, and reducing fuel waste. Right.
Right.
So those are the three that always come to mind as immediate selling points for the system. So operationally, if your personnel is available and they're operating the equipment effectively, right, and your vehicles are available and they're being properly maintained, you're already on your way to running an efficient business, right? Availability is sometimes so critical and it's overlooked. Some of the other cost saving measures are fuel reduction, right? And there's multiple factors that can help you
Right.
reduce your fuel costs because it's one of the largest costs you're going to have to operate your fleet. So that's typically solved by coaching your drivers into better habits, right? And making sure that they are not doing anything that's unsafe, the harsh acceleration, right? That's using more fuel, things of that nature. And then you've got the idling activity. So those are two big factors that are going to have a huge impact on fuel. And
Got
you
it.
need to make sure you need to make sure those drivers are aware of those things.
Right. And that's one of the things that I've learned in working with power fleets over, the last year, and something I'm doing for one of the companies that I help on the safety is fuel consumption. If a vehicle's sitting on a job site for 8 hours and actually not moving, but it's burning fuel at zero point 0.8, zero point 0.9 gallons an hour, and you think of the cost, wow, it's huge. So let me ask you this. Can you explain a little bit on companies that, let's use an HVAC company for an example. They have, 100, 200 service vehicles that are going to clients all the time, and clients are calling up and, hey, be here. How can a company use that in aiding their overall operations and talking with their customers? How can your system help a company help their clients?
So many ways, right? Where to begin? So I'd say these systems really just they provide a constant connection between the dispatcher and the driver. So whether it's the mobile app, a tablet, a camera system, all these things are helping avoid incidents, providing some feedback to the driver, and they empower coaching. So this real-time tracking of where they are and the visibility of how they're performing their duties is all
Right.
visible to the dispatcher. So then this information is kind of fed into a routing system, right? So you can use the live location, you can feed that to a routing system, and that's going to incorporate real-time traffic and weather data. So you can adjust your trips mid-journey, right? You can make sure that if you're trying to avoid that traffic up ahead caused by an accident, you can do so, or the blizzard that's rolling in, right? If you want to be able to avoid that, you can, even if the vehicle is already en route. And a camera system is going to be able to add a little bit more visibility there because if you're wondering why the vehicle is close to its destination but not quite there yet and really just moving extremely slow, you can actually take a look live and do a live stream to see that they're sitting in bumper to bumper traffic. So all that added visibility is just a really powerful tool.
Wow, that's a ton. And I think back, I don't want to age myself, but I think about when I had to use a paper mat, and I was going from point A to point B, and there was an estimated time, and I had to make the delivery window. Now all this technology can really help a company in running so much more efficiently. All right,
Absolutely.
great. All right, so let me ask you this. So I've heard you mention the word geofence around my equipment. So can you explain just briefly what geofence means and how can I use that for my equipment, my trucks and trailer? Is it, e- e- educate me on that. You're killing me on adding all this stuff to me.
So geofence is really just think of it as an area of interest, right? So in the
Okay.
software, you're usually creating a shape of some sort to cover your lot, cover your yard, whatever you're trying to make sure of keeping track of where are my vehicles. And if you want to be notified if they've left that area or if they've entered that area, you can be immediately notified. But I do want to make sure that everyone is aware there's two types of geofences in this industry. There
Okay.
is a geofence that exists purely on the software, so that if the device is reporting and we happen to catch that location, we'll look to see if it's inside the geofence. And then there's geofences that actually exist on the device. So in some cases, you're going to want to have a solution where there's actually a geofence resident on the device because the device then has the ability to self-report and can have that intelligence knowing I've left the location and therefore I need to report up to the server to tell them that I've left. Otherwise, you're dealing with Well, if I happen to get a location and it might be every hour only, I'm only going to be able to track that location hourly, and I'm only going to be able to make that distinction if I've left a geofence at that hourly rate.
Gotcha, gotcha. So, but that's something that your support staff and team, if a company engaged with you, that's something that you guys can explain and go right into that. Got it.
Absolutely. And based on the use case, one solution might work fine for you. So it's going to depend on the needs of the business.
Gotcha. All right. So, and this is brief. I've already kind of mentioned this, but something I really got into is working with companies and looking at their vehicles in their idle time. And, what other items can a system, track and monitor on the telematics other than the idle time? What else can you get? You mentioned fault codes and maintenance or something like that?
Yeah, absolutely. So idling is great, right? And there's others though, right? You've got the odometer and the fuel and things like engine hours, right? Those are going to be able to help you do preventative maintenance. So knowing what the odometer is and keeping track of it, knowing when that vehicle needs an oil change or a tire rotation or some basic things. But also keeping track of things like engine temperature and oil level. Those are really important metrics that are going to help you identify if your vehicle is healthy or not. Same thing with fault codes, battery voltage. Those are the types of things that can help you do some preventative maintenance or do some easy repairs before that really costly repair is going to be required. So all of those measures are really going to help you be a little bit more efficient and be able to keep your vehicle health up to date. And it's a really
Right.
important idea for you to continue to make preventative maintenance schedules, and those are going to help you do so.
Got it. Man, there sounds like there's so much technology and it's advanced so much. It was first being introduced to body and video camera in my squad car back 25 years ago, you know. Tons of great information and I've learned a lot. Every time I talk to you guys over there at Power Fleets, it's unreal. And again, one of our big things here at HB Next is to help companies let them do their day-to-day operation and we help them with their safety and driver training and everything that's involved in that and OSHA training and the safety side of things. And it looks like between us and the support and all the things that you guys offer over there at Power Fleets with not only just cameras, but the telematics and the safety and everything that can go into this. This is a huge win-win for companies and can help you run that much more efficient. So, excuse me. Let's kind of recap on what we just say, the three sections. So we spoke about telematics is more, obviously, is more than just a camera system going into our vehicles, protecting our drivers and equipment. I've talked about, we're never spying on our drivers or watching to see if they screw up, but these systems are in there overall to protect the company and my employees, set the tone of the culture, drive safe, obey the rules of the road and everything, but more importantly, protect us in the event that there's an incident and it goes into litigation or an insurance or somebody's trying to sue and say I did something and falsely accusing us. Something that we do at HB Next, I help companies monitor their telematics. I got a great support staff. You can do that. So it allows a company to add systems like this, but still not have to hire people just to handle that. They can engage with us partnership at a fraction of that cost. The next part is we can get a lot more use out of these systems, as Eric's explained today. You know, things like putting safety measures and everything on a forklift, and a driver has to be under OSHA, has to go through forklift training. He has to take a skills test, a practical test, a written test, and he has a forklift certification for so many years. the driver has that. We put this code into your system, and now the only person that can operate that forklift is my forklift operator who is past the course. He punches in his code before that forklift ever opens up. That could be huge in operations where you want to prevent unauthorized use from that. The other thing we talked about is we can use a lot of your services, not only for our trucks and trailers, but overall construction equipment and everything else, helping us, with maintenance and geofencing and tracking and everything. So, that's huge. Um, and this is why I invited you in. Gosh, I can't thank you enough for being on today's episode, for helping our listeners and even helping educate me a little bit more. So, kind of in closing today, I'd like to thank Eric Frey. That's with an E, not just FRY. It took me a minute to learn that. I appreciate it. Didn't want to screw up your last name. And I think we've all learned a lot more about these systems, the cameras, telematics, the difference, everything that is involved in that. So that kind of brings us to the end of our episode today. But before we do, I'm going to turn this over to Garrett. And Garrett, I'm going to listen to you. Do we have any questions have been submitted or anything for me or Eric?
Thanks.
Eric or Garrett, all you, bud.
I appreciate it. Turn it over back to me. Yeah, we absolutely do. We've got some pre-submitted questions that actually got to us before the live stream today. So I'd like to just go over those right now. The first question we have is from Jackson Allen of Hood River Capital Management. It's a three-parter, so I'm going to go through it step by step. The first part is, how much does it cost to use your most basic product? How much does it cost to have all the data and software features? So just to repeat, how much does it cost for the most basic product, and how much does it cost to have all the data and all the software features if you were to do a whole build out?
Gotcha. Good question. Eric, I'm going to let you answer that.
Sure thing. So honestly, it really depends so much that I feel like that's more of a one-on-one conversation we should have.
Yep.
I would love to hear from you, Jackson, so maybe we can get together over email. It's just a matter of knowing exactly what use cases you're trying to solve for. And I'm sure I can work with you and we can come up with a solution that meets your needs best.
That's wonderful
Gotcha.
to hear that answer, by the way. I want to make a comment because you just said something important. Both of your emails are pinned in the chat right now. So any person who wants to ask any additional follow-up questions can reach out directly to both Eric and Kevin in the pinned comment. All right, the second part of that question is your solution hardware agnostic? Are any of your competitors' software solutions hardware agnostic?
That is a fantastic question. Yeah, I would love to take that one, Kevin. So
Yeah,
we
absolutely.
we pride ourselves on having a hardware agnostic solution. We call it the Unity platform. It unifies a lot of different data sources, and that's kind of my passion, right? My role here as being the keeper of the data ingestion strategy. So absolutely, we are not afraid of integrating with third-party devices, with OEM data feeds. So absolutely, we would love to have that conversation with you. If you've got existing hardware and you're looking for a new service provider, that's something where we can come in and we can support you there.
Awesome, awesome. Okay, the last part of this
And just
question. Oh, go
and
ahead.
just to speak to the sorry, guy, just speak to the second part of that question. I think there are competitors that are doing this too. I don't know if they're as willing as Powerfleet to come in here and kind of offer what I just stated. So you're going to see that there's some support for probably 2 or 3 devices, maybe 1 or 2 OEMs. But we pride ourselves on being a truly hardware agnostic solution provider.
Right.
Awesome, awesome. Well, let me toss a softball at you then. In the typical length of a contract, if I wanted to become a customer, how long is that? 12 months? 2 years?
We're pretty flexible. Most of the contracts are going to be multi-year, and that's again just to kind of justify the initial upfront investment on the hardware and the installation. So anywhere from 12 months to 5 years to meet your needs.
Awesome, awesome. I appreciate the active comments in the chat, everyone. I really do appreciate that. Going on to our second major question here. How do my company stay away from high-pressure contract and simply have us start the conversation of getting a system?
Okay, I'll take that one. Good question. I've been working with power fleets and mixed telematics and cameras for over a year. Everybody knows there's tons of systems out there. Some really good systems. What I like to say is I will help to the extent a company partners with us at HB Next, because of my working with all these different companies. What I will do will help them set the contacts up and really stay on path to what the questions are. Why do we need a system? How many vehicles we have, that type thing, so they don't feel that high pressure. I will say, working with you guys over at Power Fleets, you guys have a great team. I've never felt any pressure. We have multiple companies that use your guys' systems. You're very easy to work for. Again, I think, like Eric stated earlier, the best thing is everybody has different needs in their operations, different sides of their operation. So, really understanding cost and contracts and everything that's involved, that's for a more in-depth conversation. So again, anybody listening is interested in something like that, reach out to myself here at HB Next. As Garrett stated, my contact information and a link is to my email. Or you can go directly to Eric Frey at his contact, and he would be more than willing and able to answer those questions. All right.
All right, wonderful. Our next
Got anything else,
question.
Garrett?
Yeah, I got a few more. Can HPNX help monitor our system on a daily basis?
Yes, great question. I'll take that one. Um, Really, what we've seen and what we do and specialize at HB Next on safety and on the transportation side is, in a sense, if a company thinks about this, we're that fleet director, that safety guy, and we can help the overall to what extent a company really wants. If you want day-to-day monitoring and you want us to help you and just send you notifications when certain things are triggered within a driver or equipment like that, we can do it. We can do it daily or weekly or monthly, and we have all different levels of that. And remember, it's the overall to help a company with their overall goal of safety and operations, whether it's on the safety compliance side or it's involved with the transportation side. Good question.
Awesome. All right, last question I have here for you guys today is how often does your system need to be updated? But I think y'all kind of went over that earlier, so I'm going to go ahead and pass that question. Let's go ahead and close us out for today. That's all the time we have for questions. I don't think I have any more questions in chat. I'll give one more quick second. Anybody have any additional questions in chat? I do see we have Aaron Michaels from last podcast has joined the chat today, so I just want to say hello and thanks for joining and giving some insight here. But last call for any questions in the chat. I'm happy to read any for you guys. All right. Well, in that case, what I'll do, in that case, what I'll do here is thank you for all your time today, both of our hosts today, for all the questions that we've got submitted, and our listeners today, of course. Thank you to our listeners. Kevin and Eric are available to follow up any questions after the podcast. You can reach them both at kcolton@hbnext.com, and Eric Frey is spelled Frey, but it's Eric Frey at powerfleet.com. And so please feel free to reference those email addresses. They're also pinned in our chat. The recorded session and future topics will always be found on hbnext.com/podcast. We are finally approved to be on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and YouTube, so we will all also be able to find us on there in the next coming week. Okay. Our next episode is navigating the soaring cost of insurance with special guest Mike Royal of Partners Risk Services LLC. That'll be Wednesday, October 2nd, Eastern Standard Time at 11 a.m. Okay, so make sure you put it on your calendar. Don't miss our next episode with Mike Royal. If you found today's discussion helpful, please share and subscribe to our YouTube channel at HB Next Corp. Leave us a review. We really, really love hearing from everybody. Any additional questions, comments, we want to hear from you guys. Join the conversation on social media at HB Next using the hashtags TheDRIVE and hashtag HB Next TheDRIVE. All right, you always can find those hashtags on our screen here, and of course, all of our social media icons at HB Next. You can always find us there. If you have any questions or topics you'd like us to cover in future episodes, feel free to reach out to us at TheDRIVE@hbnext.com. Once again, that's TheDRIVE@hbnext.com. And until next time, everybody, stay safe and keep driving towards a better future.